Uno, dos, tres.
The year is 2012. You know those opening piano chords, and you know the chorus it leads into, but do you know the band behind the song? Hot Chelle Rae is an act that was unavoidable in the early 2010s, but also one that has always felt forgotten by the mainstream. After multiple platinum songs, tours with superstars like Taylor Swift and Justin Bieber, and an energetic and uplifting pop rock sound, how did Ryan, Nash, Ian, and Jamie fade into obscurity? Let's talk about it. This is Hot Chelle Rae, forgotten but not gone. Our story begins in 2005, when childhood friends Ryan Falaze and Nash Overstreet decided that they wanted to make music together. They went on to form a band called Miracle Drug, releasing one EP titled Masquerade. Shortly after the release of that EP, mutual friend Ian Keegi would join the band, and they would officially rebrand as Hot Chelle Rae.
97.9. You are not here with Hot Chelle Rae. What's going on, guys?
Not too much. That would match the weather.
Now, I know what you're thinking. Where the hell did this band name come from? Like, what does Hot Chelle Rae even mean? If you're anything like I was at 11 years old, you probably thought it meant, like, a stingray with a fever, or a seashell that got left in the oven for too long, but that's not the case. Back in the day, Miracle Drug, or at least its members, were users of a social media website called MySpace. At some point in time, Nash began chatting with a fan who went by the name Chelle Rae on the website. Over time, it became apparent that Chelle was, in fact, not a hot record label worker like the band was led to believe, and was actually just catfishing Nash. The band made the best of the event, though, and turned a hilarious story into an iconic namesake, and just like that, Hot Chelle Rae was born. With Ryan's younger brother, Jamie, joining the band in 2008, Hot Chelle Rae was picked up by the Sony-owned record label Jive Records, at which point they began working on their debut full-length album. A year and over 60 songs later, that album, Lovesick Electric, would finally be released to the public. Lovesick Electric isn't your standard run-of-the-mill pop rock album. It almost feels reminiscent of artists like The Killers in some ways, blending exciting rock guitars with nostalgic techno and electronic influences from the 70s and 80s. All things considered, it's a pretty difficult merging of styles to pull off on your first attempt at making an album, but Hot Chelle Rae does it pretty well. Lyrically speaking, concepts are pretty simple and surface level, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Lovesick Electric is mostly a carefree and positive album, and while I like a complicated song that makes me think about what it's trying to say, I also don't mind songs that are just fun to listen to. My personal favorite tracks from Lovesick Electric are Alright, Say, 9:30, and Nothing Left to Hide. Lovesick Electric would receive mixed but generally positive reviews. Matt Collar of AllMusic had plenty of positive things to share about the album, stating that it contained engaging, melodic, danceable, and passionate songs that reminded him of the likes of Metro Station and The Killers. Lovesick Electric also came and went without much fanfare, but the band and label didn't necessarily see that as a failure or as a reason to throw the towel in. Not only did they receive valuable feedback on their work, but MTV named Hot Chelle Rae as one of the top 10 artists to keep an eye on as we rolled into the 2010s. And boy was MTV right. Across 2010, Hot Chelle Rae found themselves back in the studio, hard at work on their upcoming sophomore album. Their progress on this project would finally be tangible in January of 2011, with a little song you may know called Tonight Tonight. And that's when everything changed.
Hot Chelle Rae!
Hot Chelle Rae.
Hot Chelle Rae.
Hot Chelle Rae.
Hot Chelle Rae! Tonight. I like it like that.
This is your MSG debut.
It is.
Is it not?
I like it like that. We gotta talk about your shoes though.
Okay.
It looks like they came off of a couch that you have to be 18 or up to buy a DVD.
Tonight skyrocketed Hot Chelle Rae to international levels of success and recognition, their first song to chart on the Billboard Hot 100. The song was all over the radio, something that the band hadn't really seen with Lovesick Electric, and critics gave a lot of positive feedback on the song, some even granting it Song of the Summer status. I can also personally attest to how frequently the song got played on the radio. As a young, impressionable 5th grader, it took no time at all for me to declare this my favorite song of all time. Now, as I aged, I slowly grew out of it and got tired of it, but I'll always have a special spot in my heart for Tonight for that reason. Tonight Tonight wasn't the band's only big achievement in 2011 though. October of that year would see the release of a second single, that being the hip-hop inspired I Like It Like That. Though this track would earn a weaker reception from music critics, it still made an impact in its own right, peaking at number 28 on the Billboard Hot 100 and spreading awareness of the band in general. Hot Chelle Rae's success on the charts would pay off that year, earning them a win for New Artist of the Year at the American Music Awards in 2011.
Hot Chelle Rae. Okay. Wow. This is a fan-voted award, and tonight the fans absolutely deserve this award. This wouldn't be possible without them, so thank you so much for that. So many.
Nearly 2 months later, Hot Chelle Rae's long-anticipated sophomore record, Whatever, would be released to mixed reviews. Look, to be fair, it's mixed trending positively, but I've been seeing a healthy amount of discussion on both sides of the spectrum. Positive reviews like Tim Sendra's for AllMusic praised Whatever as a project that was fun and playful, even if it wasn't the most serious collection of songs. Sendra compared Hot Chelle Rae to the likes of Maroon 5 and Smash Mouth, citing their ability to unleash an album's worth of poppy jams that will please the sing into your hairbrush crowd, among others. On the other hand, some chalked up Whatever as a project for teens that wouldn't age well. In a review for The Wrap, Chris Willman questioned how the band even won their New Artist Award in the first place, calling Hot Chelle Rae a band targeted towards the radio Disney demographic, before also throwing digs at the album's dull production and sometimes inconsistent vocals from Ryan. As for me, I side more with Tim Sendra's positive review, specifically in the philosophy that this isn't a project that should be taken all that seriously. If you ask me, Whatever is a great turn your brain off and enjoy some catchy melodies album. Whenever I queue up this project, I'm not looking for any sort of introspective lyrics or political commentary. I just want some catchy, uplifting tunes to listen to, and Whatever is perfect for those needs. For all intents and purposes, it's about on the same level as Lovesick Electric for me. I think these are two pretty equal projects. My top tracks from Whatever are Tonight Tonight, Honestly, and Downtown Girl, but I really don't think there's a skip on this project. With the momentum of Whatever carrying them into 2012, Hot Chelle Rae sprung into action for some live shows. They kicked off the year opening for Taylor Swift in Australia and New Zealand on her Speak Now World Tour, before linking with Demi Lovato to tour the US in the middle of the year. The tour that I think is most interesting, however, is their headlining tour at the end of 2012. Hot Chelle Rae returned to Australia in the fall for a headlining tour, with Cher Lloyd and 5 Seconds of Summer opening for them. Yeah, that 5 Seconds of Summer. My jaw genuinely dropped when I found this out. I felt like a mere citizen of Gotham City that just found out Batman's origin story. Anyways, with 2012 coming to a close, the band was gearing up for a new album release cycle. Little did they know, however, things would not go according to plan. 2013 rolled around and Hot Chelle Rae would celebrate the new year with a new song titled Hung Up, one that I'm quite fond of. It almost sounds like a Whatever B-side to me, continuing the carefree, not too serious tone that the band had come to be known for. It's funky, it's uplifting, what's not to love? 2013 also marks a significant point in Hot Chelle Rae's history though. In October of that year, on Halloween Day to be precise, Ian Keagy took to Tumblr to announce that he was exiting Hot Chelle Rae. He was quick to dismiss any bad blood within the band, instead stating that he had reached a point where he wanted to create on his own, both with music and with photography. The band's statement on Ian's departure reflected a similar sentiment, wishing Ian the best, but also assuring their fans that Hot Chelle Rae wasn't slowing down or breaking up, even going so far as to announce that the third album was slated for a 2014 release. The sad truth, however, is that this third album never came to be. Hot Chelle Rae would spend 2014 doing more touring across the US, including as an opener for country singer-songwriter Dierks Bentley. A few more songs would eventually manifest into an EP, but no full-length album was in sight. Now, as an outsider, you might have just assumed that things fizzled due to creative differences or whatnot, and I assumed the same for a very long time. That is until incredibly recently, when I found an interview where the band confirmed contractual obligations got in the way of their third album's release. I'll let Nash take it from here, he can explain it far better than I will.
We had a really strange departure. They called us, and I remember getting the call out that our label was willing to put out another single or let us off. And it was the strangest call we've ever had to make a decision on. But to us, we didn't want to be bound by squashing our creativity. So we opted, we're like, all right, if you don't want to put the album out, you just want to do a single, then you're not that invested. We'd rather make music freely at some point. And so we got off the label only to find that every song for the last 2 years that we'd written for our next album that never came out was legally tied up.
With the majority of songs that they had written for album 3 locked away by a record label, the band would have essentially needed to start from scratch all over again. Ryan, Nash, and Jamie decided it was time to take a break, to take a step back from Hot Chelle Rae, to just breathe for a little bit. With that, the band members went their separate ways for a few years. Ryan kickstarted his solo career as a country artist, Nash did production and lyricism for movie soundtracks, including working on The Lonely Island's pop star Never Stop Never Stopping, and Jamie, well, I don't really know what Jamie did during that time. Either way, one thing was for sure. Hot Chelle Rae was officially on hiatus. In late 2018, 4 years after starting their break, Hot Chelle Rae took to Instagram Live to announce their return. The band was getting back in the studio to make that long-awaited third album, and almost a year later, they would release their first single since 2014, that being I Hate LA. I Hate LA is interesting. As we talk about it, I'd like to return to Chris Willman's negative review of Whatever, because while I don't agree with him in totality, he does make a point that turned out to be incredibly relevant. Like I said previously, Willman referred to Hot Chelle Rae as catering to the Radio Disney demographic, and while I think that's a bit of a harsh way of putting this criticism, I do think Hot Chelle Rae really struggled to find their footing and their audience when they reunited. I Hate LA contains some of the whimsy and charm of past Hot Chelle Rae songs, but lyrics that lean a little more mature. It feels like a sharp departure from where the band led off. Hiatuses in music can be dangerous because it puts a larger gap between you and your listener. Now, I'm not saying that your entire life needs to be on blast to make it as an artist, but I think making a return to music with such a drastic shift in tone and maturity can really pull your existing audience away. I don't know though, maybe I'm just talking out of my ass. Either way, from that point, Hot Chelle Rae fell back into the rhythm of putting out music, unfortunately just as the world shut down due to the COVID pandemic. Nevertheless, the EP Tangerine would be released around April of 2020, a project that I listened to a lot, but never saw a lot of chatter about. Despite this, Hot Chelle Rae would continue to work on and put out new music, although we still have yet to receive that third album. In addition to Tangerine, 2020 also saw the release of Find You, a rewritten Tonight Tonight themed around the pandemic, and Come My Way, a personal favorite Hot Chelle Rae track of mine. 2021 would contain Do the Damn Thing, 2022 would feature Stupid Song and Heart and Mind, and 2023 would see the release of Kids. Once again though, 2023 would mark an important point in Hot Chelle Rae's history, specifically the quiet and unannounced departure of lead vocalist Ryan Falaise. This felt like a pretty significant blow when I found out, and something that drew me away from the band for a while. Ryan was a huge piece of Hot Chelle Rae for me. I always loved his voice and admired him as a frontman, and without him there, I just had a lack of interest in the band. Even if there wasn't a formal announcement of his departure, Ryan's absence felt pretty significant as far as Hot Chelle Rae's online presence was concerned. Their social media platforms all went pretty quiet, save for the occasional post from Nash to promote his solo DJ gigs. The state of the band felt really uncertain to me, as if it was in limbo, a never-ending question of will they break up or not. This sentiment carried through 2024 with only one single, Good Vibes Only, being released alongside some scattered tour dates. 2025 was much of the same, but with a little more consistency in song releases, and an announcement of an appearance at an Australian festival where they'd be playing Whatever in full. Beyond that though, it's just been a lot of social media spamming, and that's about it. To me, it sort of feels like the Hot Chelle Rae that most of us fell in love with 15 years ago is still on hiatus. This is exactly what I mean when I say forgotten but not gone. Whereas Fun cemented themselves as indie rock legends even in their absence, Hot Chelle Rae feels like they've fallen even further into obscurity. It doesn't feel like anyone looks back on Tonight Tonight or I Like It Like That with the same fondness as they do We Are Young or Some Nights. It's a little sad to me, but I have to side with the critics to an extent. Hot Chelle Rae just feels like it was simply not built to last. Nevertheless, if you've never explored deeper than Tonight Tonight, I heavily encourage you to do so. Hot Chelle Rae is a band that I've always found to be uplifting and carefree, and if you're willing to not take it so seriously, you might find their catalog to be exciting and addictive. I know I did.